Hey, Bike here. Wanted to talk about something just a little different in this video. Knives. I've been interested in knives ever since I was a wee little kid in the 50s, and been fascinated with various bladed weapons ever since. Back then, I guess when I was 7 or 8, I really wanted a switchblade. But of course back then, switchblades were only carried around by juvenile delinquents and motorcycle gang guys and Italian mobsters. Bad guys, all of them. So my parents were not real wild about the idea. And my first knife was actually a Boy Scout knife, which was pretty prosaic. When I got a little older, left home, joined the Army, I found that you could buy all manner of switchblades downtown from where I was stationed in Germany. Everything from tiny little novelty items an inch long to huge novelty items about a foot long closed. And these were invariably of terrible qualities. This was perhaps in the mid-60s. And I examined a number of these. Guys would buy them and they'd bring them to me. I used to sharpen knives for profit. I charged people $1 back then to sharpen their knives. And they'd bring them to me and I'd look at these things. I said, my geez, these are just terrible. I actually saw on a couple of occasions people would show me their shiny new Italian switchblade and press the button and the blade would come flying out and skitter across the floor. I said, I'm not going to buy one of those pieces of junk. So I didn't. So when I got later on, when I came back to the States and got involved in my present employment, I became aware that there were excellent quality, good quality switchblade automatic knives available. And these were extremely expensive, like the Microtechs and such, $400 for an automatic knife. And so I never bought one. I just couldn't see spending that much money for basically a pocket knife. So recently, I got one of these. This is a Chinese-made Ganzo, G-A-N-Z-O, knife. It is these are reviewed on the web. I'm not going to review the knife. It's a pretty good quality knife for the amazingly low price. These are under $20. It's very well made, solid steel scales, solid steel bolster and liner, all in one piece. Excellent quality throughout. I don't know how they sell them for that much. But this is a automatic knife, and if you push the little button, it opens. Bingo. This is illegal to carry in many states. It's not illegal for me in my state because of my employment, but nevertheless, they are generally still considered to be something that would be owned by the criminal element. Naughty people would have this automatic knife. This is kind of odd, really, because this is another kind of knife. This knife would be legal to own most anywhere. There are a few states that this might get you in trouble with. This is an Axis lock knife. There's a little crossbar here that locks the knife open, and if you push on the thumb stud like that, it opens. That's fine. You can do that one-handed. That's how you're supposed to do it, I suppose. But you can do that too, because once the Axis lock tension is off, well, the blade just falls freely open. So if you hold the little lock button back and flick it, I ask you which one of these is quicker, that or that. Pretty similar, and yet this knife is legal and this knife is not. And then we have this knife. This is a Cold Steel Voyager. It's very old. I've had this for about 30 years. It's got just a thumb stud. It's pretty quick too, isn't it? It doesn't take much effort. Or you can just open it a little bit like that and flick it, and there you go. These knives would be perfectly legal, as far as I know, in all 50 states. You know, no restriction on something like this at all. So why the legislatures of our country are so wound up on these, which are so handy. I mean, if you're working around the, you know, whatever, and you say, oh, I need a knife, I'm holding this over here, and got it, bing. But these are bad. These are pretty good, and these are perfectly legal. Go fish, right? You know. There are state legislators that are trying to get this changed. They're trying to remove the restrictions on automatic knives and spring-assisted knives and gravity knives. I don't have a gravity knife here, but gravity knives were developed for paratroopers back in the war, and basically had a button and you flicked it and the blade would come out and you could cut yourself out of your shrouds if you were hung up in a tree or something. Those were fairly popular when I was in Germany as well. They're big, ugly things for the most part, but they do work. So, like I say, I finally, after all these years, 60 years, I got myself a switchblade. Not sexy looking like the Italian stilettos, but nevertheless, a pretty good little blade. And by the way, I recommend these. These are, like I say, you can find these reviewed. Ganzo makes a wide variety, and they're, as far as I can tell, they're all of uniformly good quality and a bargain. I mean, if you just want something to throw in your toolbox or your tackle box, you don't have to worry about, you know, that's the way to go. Enough for now.